All right, guys, it's Dr. Jason Hahn over here at HealthFit Physical Therapy and Chiropractic. I am joined with Eric Chang, owner extraordinaire of CrossFit Reason over in Arcadia. How's it going, dude?
Going as good as it can go, right?
Yeah, Eric and I have known each other for at least 5-6 years.
I think about 5-6 years, yeah.
Yeah, and then we have a working relationship. We've trained each other, we've treated each other, and it's amazing to see the community he's built over in Arcadia, over at CrossFit Reason. Is this your second or third location? What is this?
This is our second. I mean, if you count my mom's garage, that's the third location, but no, it's our second location.
Yeah. So going to your garage, tell me a little bit about yourself, and then like how you got started, like opening up your own gym.
Yeah. So I've been a coach for about 14 years now. I started out. And my iPods, dude. Is it jumping in?
No, you're good now. Technical difficulties, everyone, but it's all good.
Yeah, so I've been coaching about 14 years now. I've owned my business. We actually just started our 8th year. Ironically, right around when COVID started. So, that was our anniversary, was right when COVID hit in the US at least. So we're starting our 8th year now. So it's been a good 8 years, a lot of ups and downs. I was 25 when I opened my business, and I was a kid. I was like literally a child, and a lot has changed since. I'm now a father of two, or 2.2+1, I guess. I have a high school junior that lives with us now from China, and life is very, very different from when I first started. So, yeah, I've been doing this for a long, long time. I love it. I love what I do. It's a privilege that I get to do this every day. It doesn't feel like work.
So what you've always been a fit dude. You loved,
Actually,
okay. So now there's a story. You gotta tell me the story.
So actually, I haven't always been a fit dude. I mean, I grew up playing basketball, but I think the thing with everybody, I think everybody thinks that fitness is like, once you are fit, you are fit, right? And I think, life is seasonal, right? Like, as a dad, my body composition, my performance, and my fitness and my health is very different from that of when I was, 25, right? When I was 25, better body composition, much fitter. But then I feel like I had crazy like hormonal cortisol issues because I was training really, really hard, right? Now I think I'm a little bit more balanced on that side, but I'm also a little more fluffy, right? I'm a little more tired all the time. My responsibilities have shifted. So I think fitness is definitely seasonal, but I think now we actually rebranded our gym earlier last year to Reason Fitness. We are still like a CrossFit style gym. We're still an affiliate. We're proud to do CrossFit. I love the methodology, but we do so much more than just CrossFit at our gym. So, and I think fitness was the only one word that kind of encompasses exactly what we do. We're health and fitness, and our goal is just to really optimize people's health.
Yeah, I think we've known each other for a while, and we talk shop, a fair amount. So one thing that I appreciate about your place is that you're able to help everybody. You're not only helping the athletes, you're helping like normal Joes or moms, and so talk a little bit about, you're talking about you rebranded it as fitness. So how do you help those different populations?
Yeah, I think naturally, just the way that like humans are, like the way that humanity is that like tends to attract like, right? Like we get along pretty well. We have like a similar background. You grew up in the San Gabriel Valley. You were a hooper growing up. Right? I was a hooper. We played for the same team at different stages of life.
Right.
And
I'm a lot older.
Just, there's different, there's history there, right? And I think when I first opened the gym, I was 25 years old, and for the last 2-3 years, I was training for like either the CrossFit sanctional or regionals. Like I wanted to compete at a high level. I came out of playing basketball. I gained a ton of weight. At my peak, funny is like our mutual friend of, Ben Yu. So shout out to Ben. Ben sent me a photo of us when I was a senior and he was a sophomore in high school, and I was like 245 pounds, right? So it was like 60 pounds ago.
Wow.
And he sends me, and I just started laughing because, like, dude, that was so long ago, you know. And you look at that, and so I went through that. Like, I went there because I stopped playing basketball. Like, everything in my life was the same. I was still relatively active. I just wasn't really playing. Like, I wasn't practicing the way that I was, but I was eating like an athlete, you know. So I kept eating. I kept those eating habits up, and next thing you know, by the time I went from freshman to sophomore year, I was 60 pounds, or not 60. I went from 160 to 245, right? Like, I was like an 80-pound gain, right? And I was a
How
point
tall
guard,
are you again?
5'8", dude. I'm a 5'8" point guard, right? So it's like, but I weigh like a 6'8" power forward, right? So, um, you know, it wasn't good, but CrossFit was the first thing that I found that like gave me not only my health back, but a sense of sport, right? So when I first opened, that was kind of just like people that were attracted to that were the people that would want to come to my gym. And I learned really, really early on that that's a very small group of people to help, right? Right. That's like 1 to 5% of like people out there, right?
Right.
And I think like really quickly I shifted to, well, I'm already a coach. How do I best help people that want to gain like what they want to get? Like, not everybody wants to train to be a competitor, right? And that's fine, because like that's not what that's those are I'm not trying to shine my goals onto others, right? I'm trying to help them with what their goals are. And I think that's been a very, very linear focus for us, hyper laser focused for us, like ever since then. Is when people come in, my biggest focus is, hey, who are you? Let me learn about you and what is driving you to be here, right? And once I learn that, then there's a myriad of things that we can do to help you get to your goals.
Can you tell me a little bit more about just your community and how much it means to you? I know you're like, you eat, breathe your community. You know,
Um,
that's all you talk about. So like,
yeah. I think, dude, why you gotta ask me that, bro? Dude, this is freaking recorded. Oh, man. Um, you know, I think, the last it's been like over 2 months now. And I've had like crazy up and downs for the last 2 months. Like, I have days where like, dude, we're going to come out of this so strong. And then I have days where, I went running like a month ago, and I ran by the gym and I just saw like the lights off, and just, it was like when it was raining season. Like, it was really sad when COVID hit in LA.
right.
Like, when COVID hit in LA, it was like pouring rain for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And like, it was just like awful. Like, it was like depressing. Like, it felt like Seattle and with like Raccoon City, Resident Evil. Like, really depressing. Like, you can't go out, and you start to question the future. Like, oh man, like, what if I can't come back to this? Like, what if I don't have a place where I can come back? What does this all mean? What if the way that we train right now cannot exist in the future, right? And I don't know. It's like obviously really emotional. A lot of feelings go through my mind and my heart when I think about those things, and also like a lot of pain, like that. Thinking about, what if this is my life's work. This is all I know, and it can be gone like in a flash.
Right.
Fortunately, I've built a solid community of people that have stuck with us as far as as long as they can, and I'm very confident that we're going to get through this. But there's still that, in the back of your mind, like, it's like the word that's been thrown around most recently is like the uncertainty, right? Like, I was telling my mom the other day, because she'll catch up with me, like, how you doing? And I told her, like, I'm very frustrated. And she's like, why? Like, like she's very, very, she's a financial advisor at Merrill Lynch. And she was like, I told her, like, like there may not be a whole lot of gyms around here after that. She's like, well, good, because yours will be here. And I was like, okay, thanks, Mom. Like, that's a great vote of confidence.
Right.
So a little depressing to think about. And I think I'm naturally more of an empath, so I tend to just, I feel for people and what they're going through. And, one thing that she told me was like, you can't just focus on like everything bad that's going to happen. Like, and I was like, Mom, like, honestly, what's frustrating for me is that I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm as a person that likes to control my surroundings, it feels very powerless to not be able to know what's going to happen in the next month, 2 months, 3 months through 2020, right? I told her, like, hey, Mom, even if if we close and they said, hey, August 1st or like November 1st, you were back, and that's guaranteed date, I would be okay with that. But I think the uncertainty in the air is what really, it's like you can't plan for anything. Like, right, like we're remodeling the gym right now, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm doing that on the timeline of being back by June 1st.
Right.
If that gets kicked back, it's like, okay, I could have lived with a little bit less stress if I had known that. You know what I mean? So
Right.
the uncertainty is killer.
No, I think one thing, a big thing that I appreciate about always of you is that you wear your heart on your sleeve, right? So it's like you've always been open with your community, you've been open with your staff, and we had conversations when this thing first hit, right? We're like, okay,
Yeah.
what are we doing with our team? Being open and honest, like if you either whether you had to lay off or furlough and stuff like that, it's like because I guess the one of the biggest jobs for us as business owners and leaders
Yeah.
is to create some certainty. And because there is uncertainty, it's tough. But what you've done is create certainty where you're like, okay, by this date, I'm going to do these things on my gym.
Yep.
By these dates, you're shooting an ebook right before we decide to get on this thing. So in a way, you have to give yourself credit where you've created certainty. So, like,
I'm focusing on the things I can.
Focus on the things that you can control. And at least talking to you and seeing what you've done on social media, you still keep everyone involved. Your community is still going strong. And I think the businesses and the owners and the leaders that have been able to build this empathetic trust are the ones that are going to survive. And if the 80-20 rule, we were just talking about that, you're 80% aren't still working on the business. Like they're letting this epidemic control them. Like, oh, why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
It has to be
victimizing themselves a little bit. Right?
Instead, it's like, why, like, this is happening for me.
Yeah.
Right. Cause like your mom said, you're going to be standing here 5 months, a year, 5 years down the line, you're going to be standing here. So, it's just keeping that mentality.
Yeah, I was talking to my buddy, Matt, who owns Red Wolf. They just opened in Orange County on Monday, and we were talking, going back and forth. And this guy is like someone that I look up to in terms of like in the CrossFit world. Like he got into CrossFit as a baseball player at Biola, where I went to college. Mm-hmm. And by way of him, he got one of my best friends into it. And we were kines majors, and I hated CrossFit. Like everything that you hear from like the kines side of like exercise science and applied like biomechanics, stuff like that, like that hates on CrossFit. That was me. Like I was NSCA thumping, like NSCA strength conditioning essentials thumping, like that is BS. I'm not going to follow that. And then became like a fire breathing CrossFitter. Right. And I have that guy to thank. So like, I have Matt to thank for that. And when I think of like we were just talking and we were thinking back, like, I was one word of encouragement that we were giving to ourselves and each other was like, dude, like we're going to get through this. And like we think back on the hardest things that we've ever gone through. We look back on those times and it makes the next thing that we're going to go through a little bit easier. And it's like, we think back on like this is going to be a story that I tell my daughter 10 years from now, like, hey baby, like, do you like, I don't think you remember you were 3 years old, but she's gonna be a teenager right by then. And it's like, but during this, like, I actually started journaling. So I started journaling. I got a notebook, and the journal is written to Luca and Harper, to my son and my daughter. Nice. And I did that. And you say like, we have to be positive, right? And we have to be the certainty for our people. Well, I did that. I wrote that on the date that I heard that we were getting an extension. Like they were extending stay at home. And I just broke down. Like I remember I was sitting next to my daughter. She's eating a cookie. Like she's like chewing on a cookie. Like it's like after lunchtime, she's eating a cookie and she looks at me. She's like super happy. And I look at her and like, I just want to sob. And I walk over to my refrigerator and I open up my refrigerator door and I just start like bawling quietly, like behind the door. Cause I don't want her to see my pain, and I don't want her to like sense my worry. And to try to explain that to a 3-year-old, as like, I didn't want to do that, Right. And, I started journaling to them. And I think for me, it was a really low point for me, like of like, you think that you're this person that is a leader and I like balled. I wanted to ball up for like 2 days. There's been seasons of this whole thing for, the last 2 months where there's been days where I just get up and like, I feel very unmotivated. and I feel very like, oh, like I feel very stuck. I just feel like I can't help me. I can't, what can I do? My wife will be like, hey, like, this is not the person that people need right now. She always like kicking me in the butt. Right. And, so I started doing that. And I think, we, with, with being like who we are, I think we're going to look back on that and just know that, hey, if we can get through this season, it's like it's a chink in your armor that you're going to look back on. It's like I used to play guitar, and it's like, when you look at someone that plays guitar, you look at the guitar and you can tell if they actually play guitar, because like there's some scratches, right, and the guitar, like the pick guard is like kind of jacked up, and the frets are like not perfectly like, they're not perfect, right? It's been played, and I think that that's what we're going to see 10 years from now. Like, oh man, remember when we went through that? It's like we might be in different positions 10 years from now because of how we are responding today.
Yeah, it's what I told my team when this thing hit, and when it was like really, really fresh, and I was just like, and I had to furlough them and all that kind of stuff. I was like, look, like we still kept in touch via Zoom, via, continuing education sessions together, and just planning as best we could.
Yeah.
And the message was that this event and how we come out is going to help define who we are. Absolutely. And it goes along with what you said. There's going to be, the majority is just going to lay down and like hope this thing passes and wait for things to get better. And it's like, no, like I think you and we have done a relatively good job of like keeping it going. And yeah, both were in different circumstances, but we've talked about like the hardships that I have and vice versa. And at the end of the day, we're trying to help our community. We're trying to help them move better, get active. We know that like if we have to target the underlying issues here. It's not, I wrote an email, right? Like it's not about the mask. It's about all these comorbidities that are predisposing you to dying.
Yeah.
And then we know that is the major issue. So, I think it is essential that there is exercise and fitness. And then we're just trying to figure out what that is right now. Yeah.
That's been a really tough place for me. I think, as a gym owner, like, do I want to be open? Like, yes and no. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not necessarily pushing. Like, I know JB's really pushing for it with Pasadena, or just being part of the conversation. The word essential is tough, right? It's like saying someone is essential and not essential. It's like really, really tough. It's like a label. It's like you're putting like, hey, your business is essential, yours is not, so you can't open. And that's hard because like I've always believed that what we do, like, is exercise essential? Yes. Is your health essential? Yes. Is the way that we're doing it essential? I don't know. Like that's hard. That's hard to say. You know what I mean? Like I obviously was like, we closed even before Garcetti required it, because I had the belief that like I could deliver some value even not being in our physical space. Like I'm not trying to become like an online coach or anything like that. Like don't get me wrong. If we had to go remote, like I probably wouldn't want to do this anymore, because I enjoyed the way that I've done it with, I'm open to the change, but I didn't sign up to be a forever internet coach. Right. And, but at the end of the day, like I think a lot of like the biggest thing that I've seen is like, how do we help our athletes get into the right mindset about their own health? And this is big, more than ever, like, because you don't have a place where you can just check in, check out, come to for 60 minutes, right? Where you, like, I always tell people like, hey, just show up. If you just show up, you will get the result that you're looking for, right? But you actually, the one thing that I need you to do is get your butt here, right? And that's actually really hard for a lot of people. And it's to train that habit. Now it's training them to have the habit of ownership over this situation, right? And that's really, really hard for a lot of people, right? So to get ownership over, hey, this is the way it's going to be for, it started off being, we thought a month, now 2 months, right? And now it's like, okay, it's either at this point, you've either adapted and like you've made the best out of the situation, or like things have gotten pretty bad. Like, as someone that's like coaching like people, like I've struggled with it myself, like I've picked up the habit of eating Cheez-Its. Like I never snacked before. And now I eat Cheez-Its. Like, I'm like, dude, what the heck am I doing? But it's well, my kids eat it. So I eat my kids' snacks now, where before I would never touch it. But it's like, I go, like sometimes I'll go a full day without eating. and I'm just like, I'm so worried about everything going on around me. And then I see my kids snacking. So I just start snacking, you
Right.
know?
Dude, at the end of the day, you're human.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
You're human. And then you brought up the analogy of like, okay, they show up at the gym, they're dedicated XYZ, but I think you underestimate the dedication that it takes for them to attend your guys' online classes, attend
absolutely.
your,
Super
yeah,
hard to do that. Yeah.
yeah, super hard to do. When you're at home, get on
Yeah.
this thing. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, let me show my face, let me work out, let me, it's
Super hard.
accountability. So,
Super hard. Yeah.
like even though that they're not able to be in your gym, right, or physically, you
Yeah.
still have an enormous impact on everyone that you're helping. Because like, what was our thing when we weren't open? We went to telehealth,
Yeah.
and it's like, man, can I help people online and via video? It's like, if we're gonna compare in person to online, I would say in person is better.
Of
But
course.
once we went to online, things started to change as far as like, yeah, I can't use my hands, but
Yeah.
their accountability has to go sky high, because now they really have to do their exercises or their home exercise program, or
Mhm.
they have to spend if they're, instead of doing a manual treatment with my to their piriformis, I go, hey, take that lacrosse ball, I want you to sit on that thing for like 3 minutes, I want you to feel this, I want you. So
Yeah.
now from an intrinsic interoceptive kind of feedback standpoint on their part,
Mhm.
they start to understand their bodies that much more. And then ideally, like some have transitioned back into our office, which is great, like they feel comfortable. But at the same time, your athletes that have been going through this with you, they're going to come back that much better when they're
Yeah.
able to. And they're going to be first and foremost appreciative of the space that you've created. Like it's an amazing gym, right? So it's like, I look at it as a positive thing. Everything that you're doing is a positive thing. And again, we've known each other for a while. There's no doubt that you are going to survive. JB is going to survive. It's like, and it's not only going to survive, you're going to do better. So that's when you said like, you're laying down all these foundations and all this hard work. It's going to pay off because your product is better.
Yeah.
Even better than it was before this crazy thing hit, you know?
Yeah.
So let's go a little bit into you. I'm at some personal, we've been talking personally, but if you could turn back time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell him?
Eat vegetables. um, so that's probably the first thing I tell myself. I mean, like even when I first started CrossFit, I didn't have like the best. I think like CrossFit is like very, very culty, right? Like it's very like you get into it and you buy into like all the things labeled CrossFit, you like ascribe to it, right? And like I got really in the zone when I first started, which is great because it taught me about portion control. But like it doesn't really emphasize like overeating a whole ton of like micronutrients, right? And getting a ton of fiber into your body. So I think, yeah, for my younger self, I think um, eat your vegetables. I think I think the big thing would be a good listener, because it's like what I always tell my kids now, but I think it's the biggest thing that I've learned throughout this time is, in like as a leader, I've been focusing on how to lead better, right? And like it's how my role has evolved over time. And I think what I've learned more recently is that my role, for me to be the best leader, means to be the best listener. And I think I have to listen as much as I can before making decisions for my team and my community. So I think that's the word of advice I give myself.
No, I think that we've talked about evolution. Like you have 2 kids, I have 2 kids, and your priorities change, and it's like, I think the definition of a good person, of a leader, not the definition, but like what makes you a better leader is like when you have your own stuff together.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And then you have to have your stuff together at home. You have to live with, good morals and good energy and all those kind of things. And like, I couldn't even get you on the phone because you're like, or get this meeting because you're like, okay, I have time with the family. And obviously it's annoying trying to get you on the phone, but anyways, but
Yeah.
I respect it. Your family is number one. And that's how you treat your community at the same time. you're spending the time with the people that you love. So, you know, like I respect it. I don't know
That's
about
been
if
a
I
big
was,
wake up for me though. Like I think I used to think that I was a family guy, and like through COVID, I really realized like it was a surprise to me. You know, like holy cow, like my kids, my relationship with my kids have changed so much in the last 2 months because of like forcing us to be together. You know,
mm,
like they will sometimes choose me over mom now. That never happened before.
how funny.
You know, so it's like I don't know. It's like you know, like you know, you say like you know, being a leader means being put together. Like you know, I often feel like I don't. I often feel like I'm just doing my best to like hang in there. You know, and like you know, a lot of people say really not like you just said something really nice. You know, like a lot of my members will say really kind things like oh like thanks for being a good role model to me and stuff like that. And I'm just like you didn't see me cussing at my wife earlier. You didn't see us like mutter stuff under our lips earlier, right? I'm just kidding. But you know, like you know, it's like I do my best, you know, and it's like
Yeah,
I think we're all just doing our best, you know, like we're all
absolutely.
just hanging in there, and there's varying degrees of like us trying to survive right now and do our best to thrive.
Yeah.
So
And I said, you're honest and you're human.
yeah,
And I think people respect that.
yeah.
One more question. If you could have dinner with any three people, dead or alive, who would they be
Man,
and why?
geez, that's a big question. That's a any three people, dead or alive. For sure, I think the first person on that list probably be my grandma, my mom's side. She's like, yeah, probably my grandma. Like, you know, I spent a lot of time with her growing up, and she passed away due to like it's like a it's called a Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, CJD.
Okay.
Basically, it's kind of like a bad version of Parkinson's mixed with like really bad dementia, and
Oh,
eventually
wow.
into a coma, right?
Oh,
And I watched her go from like functioning like on my neck about everything in my life, like what I bought every day. I used to live with her while I was in college because they lived in the Hacienda Heights, which is like midway to Biola. So I would
okay.
stay with her like 3 days a week and then go back to, I was a trainer at 25 Fitness. So I was commuting and one of my big purchases in college, like my first big purchase was a road bike because I wanted to improve my endurance. And
Okay.
it was like a $1,500 entry level road bike that I got a great deal on, like $900. I came back and then my grandma was like, "Oh, how much is this bike? Like really expensive, huh? I bet you it was really expensive. It's probably like $300." And I was like, "It was $900." It tells me off, you know. And it's like I was so annoyed. I was so irritated, and you know, I would beg. I would trade anything to have her nag me for 20 minutes, you
Right.
know. So that probably one. I don't know. I don't know that many. Uh, you know, I don't have that many heroes like that. There's a lot of people that I admire, but like it's hard to say. I'd probably interview like really powerful or influential people that are great leaders. Uh, you know, like dead or alive. I don't know. I would just
Michael
like,
Jordan, we just watched Last
oh
Dance.
yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, I feel like I know a lot about him already. I don't know what I would ask him.
Uh-huh.
Um, Maybe Dave Ramsey. I would definitely have a meal with Dave Ramsey. He's like a finance guru that I follow, and I think through following a lot of his stuff, I made very responsible, wise decisions when I was at an age when most people wouldn't have the patience to save and like not use a credit card and stuff like that. So I think Dave Ramsey would probably be somebody. My mom would probably roll over hearing that right now. Like she'd be upset hearing that because she's an advisor. She's like, "Oh, you just asked me." um, but yeah, probably Dave. Right? I think he's a good one. I don't know. There's a lot of people that I admire, man. It's hard. Like that. It's a big list of people that I'd want to have a meal with.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right, man. So if, you know, everyone listening here and all our clients that, if they want to get more information, because we've sent some people to your facility and vice versa. I think we've always done a great job of keeping, you know,
Yeah.
keeping everyone healthy and the communication there. If
Yeah.
they want to get more information on your place, how can they reach you?
I think the biggest thing that we've been trying to do, or I've been trying to do with my community in this season, and is this is a season of fear for a lot of people, rightfully so. This is, I was talking to my wife, like, I think this will be the most scariest, significant thing that we will experience in our lifetime. I can't, like, if it gets any worse, holy crap! Like, I couldn't imagine the next thing, right? Like, this this is pretty, I don't think the world has ever been shut down for 60 days like this, right? It's pretty
Right.
nuts. And so people naturally, like, people are losing work, and people are kind of like shriveling, like, ugh, like, what do I do? And I think this is a time when people are trying to start fending for themselves. And through this time, I've been trying to figure out how to give. How do I, like, as much as I can, how do I give? And I've seen a lot of generosity out there from within our community, from people that I look up to. I've been trying to, like, support small business from day one, and just be as selfless as possible during the season, and just give. So I think in a time where people are taking and trying to just fend for themselves, I think this is the biggest time that we can give and help each other. So I actually, I was filming an ebook earlier that I'm working on. We're going to release that probably in 2 weeks or so. So it's just the ebook with, like, free workout content. I just want to give it out to whoever wants it, and just help people during this time. We were fortunate enough to land a couple grants, and on the grant, I wrote, like, what I was going to do with it. And part of the grants that I want to do is give away some fitness coaching to people that are in need of it but cannot afford it. So we definitely want to offer that to anybody that's in your network, or anybody that's watching this that needs some coaching and some advice right now on, we focus on optimizing physical fitness, mindset, sleep, and nutrition through a culture and a way that's sustainable for real people. So that's everybody, right? Whether you're an athlete or grandma or average Joe, that's what we do. So yeah, I just want to give back as much as we can. And if you want to reach out to us, you can find us on Instagram at CrossFit Reason, which might change to Reason Fitness soon. CrossFitReason.com. I actually started a consulting business as well. So I'm helping businesses improve their operations as well. I've been doing that since December of 2019. And that really helped a lot because that kind of just fell into my lap. And it was able to give me some income during a time like this that's more difficult. So that's called The Eric Freedom, and I'm working on getting a website up for that as well. So yeah, thank you for having me on here today.
Awesome, man. I'll let you go. You're a busy dude.
See you, dude.
And then thanks, man. I'll see you soon.
Thanks for having me, man. We'll chat.